We are witnessing the final, grotesque absurdity of a dying empire, played out not in the Colosseums of Rome, but in the ballroom of the White House. Donald Trump has just wrapped up a Christmas party speech that can only be described as a public descent into cognitive and moral disintegration. This was not a holiday greeting. It was a window into a mind that has completely severed ties with reality. He abruptly stopped his speech, looked at a random woman in the crowd, and said, "You look like Ivanka, and that's a good thing." He then turned to the audience, seemingly confused, and admitted, "I thought you were Ivanka." This is the leader of the free world, unable to distinguish a stranger from his own daughter, turning a state function into a bizarre, narcissistic reality show. But the confusion is not just personal, it is political. He immediately pivoted from this awkward encounter to screaming about the 2020 election. "The 2020 election was rigged," he shouted, claiming that truckloads of evidence are coming soon. "We have all the ammunition, all the stuff, and you'll see it come out. It's coming out in truckloads." He has been saying this for 5 years. There are no truckloads. There is no ammunition. There is only the desperate, repetitive lie of a man terrified of the truth. He claims they are professionals at cheating because he won in 2016 by a lot. He then bizarrely claims, "But then we won again in 2024. This is the language of a dictator who believes that truth is whatever he says it is in the moment. But let's go back to the moment with the woman in the crowd because it reveals the profound disorientation of the man holding the nuclear codes. He points at her and says, "Boy, do you look like Ivanka? Has anyone ever told you that?" "I'm looking. I'm saying is that, could you just turn around for the camera?" He asks a private citizen to spin around for his amusement so he can compare her to his daughter. I didn't want to take a chance. I say, "Is that Ivanka? You look just like Ivanka," which is a great compliment, actually. It is deranged. It is uncomfortable. It is the behavior of a man who sees women only as props in his own psychodrama. And just as you think it cannot get more surreal, he starts talking about snakes, randomly, in the middle of a Christmas speech. He begins a rant about the black mamba and the brown mamba and the viper from Peru. "You don't want to play games with these snakes," he warns. "These snakes have venom." You might be asking, what is the metaphor? Who are the snakes? There is no metaphor. He is just rambling about venomous reptiles while the economy collapses and the world burns. He rambles about 28,000 people dying a year from snake bites in Peru. It's a viper, right? It's said to be the most poisonous snake in the world. This is the intellectual capacity of the American presidency in 2025. A stream of consciousness that bounces from election lies to his daughter's appearance to Peruvian vipers, with absolutely no coherence. And while he tells snake stories, he lies about the suffering of the American people. He stands there in his tuxedo and says, "We are doing great and prices are coming down." He claims it is the first time that has happened in many years. We now have inflation is totally neutralized. He says he doesn't want prices any lower because you don't want deflation. And this is a lie so brazen it mocks the struggle of every working family in this country. We all know prices are up. We know the economy is in the gutter for the working class because of this regime. But he stands there and tells you that this misery is perfect. He says, "We may get it a little bit lower, but we have a record setting. We have more people on Friday. We had more people working on Friday than at any time in the history of our country." It is a fantasy world. He is gaslighting the nation from behind a podium, telling you that your empty wallet is a sign of his success. This is not just a bad speech, it is a symptom of a collapsing system led by a man who is mentally unfit to manage a lemonade stand, let alone a superpower. But his delusions of grandeur do not stop at the economy. They extend to the very architecture of the Capitol itself. In the next segment, I will expose his insane plan to build an Arc de Trump, a monument to himself that he claims will blow away the history of Paris. You have to hear it to believe it. If the snake stories were a sign of cognitive decline, Donald Trump's new architectural ambition is a sign of unchecked megalomania. In the middle of this same holiday speech, he unveiled his grand plan for the American Capitol. He wants to build an Arc de Trump, a triumphal arch in his own honor. He calls it an arcade triumph, stumbling over the words, but the intent is clear. He says we need arcs in the circles, and that's what's been lacking in this country. He claims he has put Vince, presumably a sycophant from his inner circle, in charge of the triumphal arc. And where does he want to put this monstrosity? We're building it by the Arlington Bridge, the Arlington Cemetery, opposite the Lincoln Memorial. He wants to place a monument to his own ego right next to the hallowed ground where America's war dead are buried, and opposite the monument to the man who saved the Union. You could say Jefferson, Washington, everything because they're all right there, he says, attempting to insert himself into the pantheon of founders. But it gets worse. He compares his imaginary arch to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. It will be like the one in Paris, but to be honest with you, it blows it away in every way. He claims Vince saw the plans, and his eyes were teeming. I mean, he couldn't believe how beautiful it was. He says there is nothing that can compete with that. It's the only city in the world that's of great importance that doesn't have a triumphal arch. He is rewriting history to justify his vanity. He claims that since the 1860s, Americans have wanted one thing: an ark. He says, it's been waiting for 200 years, literally. I think the Civil War got in the way of it. This is the mind of a child playing with blocks, but he has the power of the state behind him. He says the circle has been waiting for him. It's a circle that's been waiting to have the ark built on it. And here is the most dangerous part of this delusion. He thinks the institutions designed to protect our history are on his side. He says, I'm going to speak with the National Trust for Historic Preservation. They like me. They like me. This is a lie. The National Trust for Historic Preservation just sued Donald Trump on Friday. They sued to block his other vanity project, the Golden Ballroom. They accused him of fraud, saying he promised not to demolish the East Wing of the White House without approval, and then proceeded to ignore them. But Trump stands there and says, I've always gotten really along well with the National Trust, so take a look and show it to them. He is living in a completely alternate reality where his enemies are his friends and his lawsuits are love letters. While he fantasizes about marble arches, he is also lying about the Americans killed in combat. He addresses the recent attack in Syria, where 3 Americans were killed. We know the killer was affiliated with the current Syrian transition government, the very people Trump has been praising. But Trump cannot admit that his friends killed American soldiers, so he lies. I must say in Syria also we had an attack in Syria and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people and not the Syrian government. It was ISIS. Syrian government fought by our side. The new president fought by our side. He is covering up for a regime that killed American troops because admitting the truth would damage his ego. He calls the new president of Syria, a former al-Qaeda leader, an ally. This is treason of the mind. He is rewriting the facts of war to protect his own narrative of success. And then, he pivots back to the election, specifically California. He claims, the entire map is red other than 2 little blue stripes. One is California, one's New York. And California's election is so rigged. He claims, I won the Hispanic vote, I won in Miami, I won every single city or town touching the Texas border. He screams, if the vote in California was legitimate, we would win California by a lot. This is the ranting of a lunatic. He did not win the Hispanic vote in California. He is polling at historic lows with Hispanics. But he needs to believe the lie. They don't have the advantage because I won Hispanic vote, he insists. He is constructing a fortress of lies to protect himself from the reality of his own unpopularity. He is building an Arc de Triomphe in his mind to celebrate victories that never happened. But while he builds imaginary monuments, the real world is crashing down. In the next segment, I will expose the dangerous lies he is telling about the Brown University shooting and the economic disaster he is trying to hide behind fake promises of trillions. The most dangerous aspect of Donald Trump's detachment from reality is not his vanity projects, but how his lies actively endanger lives and obscure justice. Take the horrific school shooting at Brown University. Yesterday, in a rush to appear in control, Donald Trump told the American people that the shooter was in custody. He said he had been briefed and the situation was resolved. That was a lie. The shooter was not in custody. By spreading disinformation, the President of the United States potentially gave people a false sense of security while a killer was still on the loose. Today, authorities have a person of interest, but Trump, caught in his own web of lies, tries to pivot. They got the person, the individual person, but there'll be big damage done. Supposedly, they call him a person of interest, so I'll keep it along those lines so we don't get ourselves in any trouble. That is his only concern, not the safety of the students, not the integrity of the investigation, but protecting himself from the fallout of his own mouth. He treats a tragedy like a PR crisis to be managed with spin. He then briefly mentions the hero in Australia, the very brave person who attacked the shooter. but he quickly moves on because selfless heroism is a concept he cannot truly grasp. He would rather talk about himself. He pivots back to the economy, claiming, "We have an age that's coming up the likes of which I don't think this country has never seen." He claims that $18 trillion with a T is coming into the country. They're building car plants, they're building AI plants, they're building everything at a level that we've never seen. He says, "I assume that's going to start showing up. You're going to see results in 6 months to a year." This is the classic con man's pitch. The reward is always just around the corner. 6 months to a year. Just keep waiting. Just keep believing. Meanwhile, he blames the Federal Reserve for the current reality. Our Fed person is absolutely, despite him, we have numbers that really nobody's ever seen. He is setting up the scapegoat for when the 18 trillion phantom money never arrives. He brings up Bryson DeChambeau, the golfer, to distract the crowd. He's a fantastic person. He's got the head is better than anything. He calls him the current U.S. Open champion. This is false. Bryson DeChambeau won in 2024. He is not the current champion. But in Trump's world, facts are malleable. If he likes you, you are a champion. If he likes you, you are a patriot. If he doesn't, you are vermin. He calls DeChambeau up to the stage, treating him like a prize pony. Look at him. Now, if you rip off the jacket, you'll see the muscles are serious. It is a bizarre fixation on strength and celebrity, used to distract from the utter emptiness of his policy. He is an entertainer trying to tap dance while the theater burns down. And then, in a moment that perfectly encapsulates the hollowness of his administration, Melania Trump steps up. She speaks to the children, or at least tries to. "We have a Santa visiting today, and he's waiting for you. You could take pictures and maybe whisper to him what you would like to have." It is a scripted, robotic performance of normalcy in a room that is anything but normal. It feels like a scene from a dystopian film where the ruling class plays dress-up while the city outside crumbles. Trump even humiliates his own hostess. He brings up a woman who helped organize the event and asks the crowd, is she going to choke? Is she going to be the opposite of Bryson? He mocks her in front of the world, deriving pleasure from the potential for someone else's failure. Let's see. Is she going to choke? This is the cruelty of a bully who cannot stand to let anyone else shine, even for a moment. He claims, "We made a comeback." He claims, "China wonderful. I have a great relationship with President Xi." He claims nobody's ever seen it, but we have seen it. We have seen the chaos, the lies, the incompetence. We see a man who lies about golf champions, lies about shooters, and lies about the economy. And he expects us to believe that 6 months from now, it will all be paradise. It is a Ponzi scheme of hope, and the bill is coming due. In the final segment, I will break down why this specific speech, with its snakes, its arches, and its lies, marks the point of no return for this presidency. We have reached the terminal phase. The speech Donald Trump just gave is not merely a collection of gaffes. It is a declaration of cognitive and moral bankruptcy. When a leader stands before his nation and cannot distinguish his daughter from a stranger, when he rambles about Peruvian vipers to distract from economic ruin, and when he plans monuments to himself while desecrating the memory of fallen soldiers, he has ceased to govern. He is merely inhabiting the office, haunting it like a ghost of his former self. He brags about the Hispanic vote he lost. He brags about the California election he claims was rigged by 38 million ballots coming from nowhere. Where the hell do they go and where do they come from? He asks. He is shouting at clouds. He is fighting ghosts. He is a man at war with reality, and the collateral damage is the United States of America. He says, "I won in Miami. I won every single city or town touching the Texas border." He repeats these lies like a mantra, hoping that if he says them enough, they will become true. But the map is not red, the prices are not down, and the Arc de Trump will never be built. These are the delusions of a man in the bunker, moving imaginary armies on a map while the enemy is at the gates. He talks about arcade triumph and arcs in the circles. He is obsessed with symbols of power because he has lost the substance of it. He wants a stone monument to validate his existence because he knows that history will not be kind to him. He compares himself to Lincoln and Washington, but he is standing in the rubble of the institutions they built. He attacks the national trust for historic preservation while claiming they like him. This is the hallmark of the narcissist, the inability to perceive rejection. He believes he can charm, bully, or lie his way out of any reality, but the lawsuit is real. The economic pain is real. The dead soldiers in Syria are real, and no amount of snake stories or golden ballrooms can cover that up. He ends by telling the crowd, "Enjoy the time, wishing you a Merry Christmas." But there is no joy in this room. There is only the frantic energy of a cult leader trying to keep the spell alive for one more day. He promises an age, the likes of which no country has ever seen. He is right, but not in the way he thinks. We are seeing an age of decline, of madness, of a superpower being led by a man who has lost his mind. This is the arc of delusion. It bends not toward justice, but toward chaos. And we are all trapped under its shadow. The corporate media might play these clips for laughs. They might focus on the Ivanka gaffe or the snake story as mere entertainment. But we must refuse to see it that way. This is not funny. It is a warning. When the president lies about a shooter being in custody, he endangers lives. When he lies about who killed our troops, he dishonors their sacrifice. When he lies about the economy, he insults your struggle. And when he builds imaginary arches to his own glory, he spits on the legacy of this republic. We are witnessing the end of a tragedy. The curtain is falling, but the actor refuses to leave the stage. He is still there, rambling about snakes and rigged elections, demanding applause from a room full of sycophants who are too afraid to tell him the truth. But we are not afraid. We see him, we hear him, and we know that the truckloads of evidence are never coming. The only thing coming is the judgment of history. Do not let them gaslight you. Do not let them tell you this is normal. If you refuse to accept this madness as the new normal, if you demand a reality based on truth and not the delusions of a decaying mind, then you must stand with us. Subscribe to this channel. Join the resistance against the lies. We will not look away. We will document every moment of this collapse until the truth is restored.